Guys, this is a real life soap opera with Honda and Nissan and the breakup. We have more juicy details on why it unraveled so quickly between the two. The romance lasted just a few short months, all right? But Nissan's ready to move on. They're leaving the old relationship in the past and they're looking for new partners. This sort of news, just because Honda is no longer in the Nissan ecosphere of news, doesn't mean that we won't have some juicy drama with Nissan in the coming months. They keep shrinking production. They keep laying people off. They essentially need someone to invest in them to survive. That's what it seems like anyways. People maybe working for Nissan see it differently. But let's just start with the juicy details on what happened. So Ukoto Uchida went up to Mibe-san. Yeah, he went up from Yokohama to Tokyo. I believe Honda's headquarters. Well, I've been there a couple times. It's in Aoyama. Yeah, he broke it off in person. How noble of him! Instead of sending him like a text or an email saying that this relationship was going to not work long term, and he told Mibe, CEO of Honda, that these terms are unacceptable. And really, the terms were Honda. It's like, you guys aren't doing this turnaround fast enough. We're just going to buy you out and take you over and replace all your board members and all your CEOs with our own hand-selected choices or internal Honda employees. And Nissan said, wait, that's not what we agreed upon. In December, when we signed this MOU, we kind of saw it as an equal partnership. All right. When we would merge, we would have equal say on what goes forward. Nissan hasn't had a say for their company since the late 90s, when Renault stepped in and Carlos Ghosn was puppeting this huge business from French automaker to not only to Nissan in Japan, but also Mitsubishi. But Renault had commanding shares of Nissan, and Nissan really had no say of what happened with the company. All right. And Nissan saw Honda. It's like, hey, a traditional rival of ours, with Japanese company, we can put aside our differences and learn to work together. But Honda's like, no. You're worth 1/5 of what Honda's worth. Why would we give you equal partnership? But Nissan comes back and says, hey, it's not because of your car business that you're superior to us. It's because of your motorcycles. Honda makes a lot of money off of their motorcycles, and Honda's operating margin is 7%, but their motorcycle segment is 17%. Their automobiles only have a 4% margin. And Mibe even said in December at the press conference, he said, hey, this is not a rescue of Nissan. Yeah, but it was going to be a complete takeover of Nissan. And that's what Carlos Ghosn said from his safe house in Lebanon, where he fled Japan in a musical suitcase to avoid the slightly biased judicial system there. From Nissan's perspective, the idea of becoming Honda's subsidiary was unacceptable because Honda's motorcycles are largely responsible for the large gap in corporate value between the two companies. So Nissan sees Honda Motor in their car division an equal partner, and the motorcycle thing kind of separate. But Honda does not separate their businesses. They're one business. And so Honda Motorcycle which is their big profit maker, could be taken down by Nissan if Nissan were to get involved. Honda's like, the only way this is going to work is if you do exactly what we say, because we know what we're doing and you guys don't. And so Nissan is now single. They're available. They're back on the market. They're open to new partners within a day. With this sort of speed that Nissan is back on the market looking for suitors, it tells me that Nissan is in a terrible position. That's just how I see it. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it tells me things are dire for Nissan if they're immediately looking for someone to reinvest in them. All right, including Foxconn. Now, Foxconn was a part of the discussions last winter, or I should say last year. It's still winter in some places, Florida, so it's not really winter here. Anyways, I think it was December, November, Foxconn stepped in and said, hey, we're interested in buying these shares that Renault has. And then Honda stepped in, probably because the Japanese government's like, no, we don't want a Taiwanese company taking over Nissan. All right. But obviously Honda doesn't want to take them over. I think they're just kind of forced into it. That's just my guess. But Nissan CEO tells Honda, obviously he wants to end merger talks. Nissan open to working with others, including tech firms. Which tech firms they are, we don't know. But Taiwan's Foxconn is probably the next in line here. All right. Nissan is open to new partners after merger talks with Honda have unraveled. Two people familiar with this said on Thursday that Taiwan's Foxconn is still seen as a candidate. All right. So Nissan's trying to work with new partners, including the tech companies, as it looks to navigate the technological upheaval brought by electric vehicles, software-driven cars, and new fast-moving Chinese manufacturers. It was open to working with Taiwan's Foxconn, the world's largest contract electronics maker, one of them said. All right, one of Reuters sources here. Foxconn makes Apple products, Apple iPhones, computers. They've been seeking to expand its EV contract manufacturing business and approached Nissan about a bid, but was rejected in December. I think because of the Japanese government catching wind of this and say, hey, Honda's got to do something here. Some of you have been asking, why hasn't Toyota stepped in and bought Nissan or invested in Nissan? To my understanding, I think actually Akio Toyoda was asked about this, and Akio was like, we haven't heard anything from Nissan, but the reason is more than likely is because it would be anti-monopoly laws would come in. Toyota's already too big. They can't absorb Nissan here because then they would be the entire Japanese market. All right. And potentially other markets as well. They would just completely have most of the market. All right. So I think that's a big reason Toyota's never going to get involved here. Foxconn's EV business is led by a former Nissan executive, Jun Seki, who was once seen as a contender to become Nissan's CEO before the job went to Uchida-san. So he left, he went to Foxconn, and he's trying to helm the EV business, and he knows Nissan like the back of his hand. He's like, man, they have all these plants in China, they have plants in the United States, they have plants in Mexico, they have plants in Japan. The framework, the structure is there for Foxconn to step in and rework these factories for EVs. But here's the thing. Nissan's like, okay, well, we're not teaming up with Honda because Honda would just take over and we would become a subsidiary of Honda. But would it be any different if Foxconn came in? Foxconn is enormous. Foxconn would be pulling the strings here. I don't think Nissan would have much of a say if Foxconn came in and wanted to use their factories and technology and production strength to build EVs the way Foxconn wants to build them. Nissan and Honda declined to comment on the status of their talks, repeating earlier statements that they aim to finalize a future direction by mid-February. So Nissan and Honda have not made an official statement about them not working together. Everyone's talking about it. All the sources from Japan and elsewhere have the intel that Uchida went up to Mibe and said, deals off the table. And Nissan is said to formalize the decision to withdraw from the memorandum of understanding at a board meeting to be held before the company's third quarter earnings announcement next week. I think Honda had special insight due to obviously this MOU and the amount of financial risk at stake. I think Honda had insight on these third quarter earnings that are going to be communicated next week. And Honda's like, this turnaround, Nissan, is not happening fast enough. You guys can't seemingly make the hardest decisions necessary in order to turn this ship around. So we're either going to commandeer this ship completely, and you're just going to have to do what we say, or deals off. And Nissan's like, well, we don't want you to take over our ship. The deal's off. Honda's current stance is that it would not accept an integration unless Nissan agrees to become a subsidiary. Honda is Japan's second largest automaker behind Toyota, and Nissan is the third. A scrapping of the discussions raises questions about how Nissan, which is in the middle of a turnaround plan, can ride out its latest crisis without help. Nissan has already announced 9,000 worker cuts, 20% of global capacity down. I heard 25% is a different number. Nissan shares rose on Thursday. Honda shares fell, reversing the direction of their respective motives a day earlier. Yes, Honda's shares surged the day earlier, and Nissan sunk the day earlier. Over at Automotive News, with Honda and Nissan each selling them 4 million vehicles worldwide, analysts are saying that each are too small to survive by themselves for long in today's industry of massive scale. And if they were to join, they would have been the third largest automaker in the world. There's other nuggets floating around. It's really hard to piece together because there's so much. I've read so much about this unraveling the past few days, but I think I did as best as I could to put things together. Now, Nissan, in desperation, is going back to this stair-stepping plan. We're back at Automotive News. Nissan launching expansive stair-step incentive plan to revive U.S. market share. Nissan's done this in the past. It can lead to dealers being over leveraged. It can also lead to poor residual value of their cars, this stair-stepping thing. So let's explain how this works. According to a memo sent to retailers on February 1st, Nissan is offering dealerships up to $1,000 on new 25 models and some 24s if they hit their monthly sales target in February and March through the end of Nissan's fiscal year. Why does Nissan want to hit these numbers? Well, I think this was put out before the unraveling of the Honda-Nissan merger. So Nissan's here scrambling, trying to make their numbers look as best as possible before something gets inked down in mid-February between the two companies. But the Q4 acceleration bonus pays $250 per vehicle sold by dealerships that meet 90% of their volume goal. All right. The spiff increases to $500 per vehicle for meeting the sales target and $1,000 per vehicle for beating it by 10%. Here's the thing. If you're selling these cars and you're expecting to get an additional $500 per car, then maybe you're willing to lower the price of the car. You're willing to cut your own profits because you know Nissan's going to pay you back later. But the problem is if you miss your quota to get that sort of spiff on that car, then you don't get it all. Then you're just left taking a loss on the car because you missed your quota. All right, so it's very, very dangerous. It's a huge gamble to play with this sort of incentivized volume sell. And allows, and some of the dealers enjoy it. Some of the dealers, president of Smith Automotive Group in Atlanta, says it allows us to do what Nissan dealers do best: make deals happen in the showroom. The NADA has long criticized volume-based incentive schemes and referred to the industry as stair-step programs. They're destructive. They can be high-stakes gamblers for retailers who often sell vehicles below cost to hit their monthly sales numbers in order to collect the bonus. But missing the target by even a single vehicle leaves the dealership swallowing losses on the sale. Nissan dealers are already struggling. They're already struggling to make a profit. So here we are. Nissan dealers and Nissan market share is treading water in the U.S. Nissan brand's 5.4% market share in 2024 dropped almost 2 percentage points from 5 years ago. No hybrids, poor content packaging, the reputation due to the Jatco CVT situation has evaporated demand for the brand's bestseller, the Rogue, and sales of the compact crossover slumped 30% in the past 5 years. And this is also extremely worrying. At the dealer presentation early February, or just a few days ago, 3 days ago at the time of this recording, Nissan sold 64,000 cars and trucks in January. Sounds good. But only 40,000 were delivered to individual buyers, aka retail. That means 24,000 were sold to rental and commercial customers as fleet sales rose 15% versus just 1% gain in retail. So people like you and I, Nissan's not attracting them to come to their dealerships. And in order to sell metal, Nissan's like trying to do their best to sell their excess volume to rental companies and commercial customers. This is not good. Why? Why is that not good? Well, when you sell to rental companies for a low cost and commercial companies at a low cost, then those companies, especially rental companies, flip them within a year, maybe two, on the used market at a very, very low cost because they didn't pay what they initially paid compared to retailers. It paid less. So that they're putting a cheaper product on the market, undermining Nissan's new car sales and undermining retail customers' used car values, or should I say their depreciation accelerates when Nissan and any manufacturer sells high amounts of fleet and commercial sales. It accelerates the depreciation. It's not good. Vinay Shahani, he used to be with Toyota. He started with Nissan, but he's back with Nissan now. He's Nissan's U.S. Sales and Marketing Senior Vice President, said the dealer volume bonus program addresses a major retailer pain point, a lack of throughput, which in 2024 dragged store profitability to the lowest level in 15 years. And it's probably going to be worse in 25. As still customers are getting squeezed with affordability. The program is lucrative enough. The sales objectives have been set at a reasonable level that, assuming that the dealers start early enough and get into it, is going to be a good thing for the throughput and profitability, said Vinay Shahani. So we'll see. Time will tell. But traditionally, long-term, it's typically not good for dealers. It's typically not good for customers. And Nissan is not alone in its drive for volume. Hyundai and Kia and others are incentivizing their retailers with similar sales goal-oriented initiatives. Now, surprising to hear it with Kia. Hyundai sales were really good. They broke a January sales record, as did Kia, but Hyundai has a much larger inventory and days on the lot compared to Kia. I don't know why. So I can understand why Hyundai, like Nissan, is reverting to some of these old school sales tactics. Nissan National Dealer Advisory Board Chairman Mike Rezzi said the industry is returning to pre-COVID arms for race of market share. Everybody has the same issue. Day supply is picking up, said Rezzi, dealer principal at 2 Nissan stores in the Southeast. Demand is strong, but competition is stiff. Now, I know for Toyota, the Corolla, the Camry, the RAV4, it's very, very low supply, especially the hybrids, but their pickup trucks are starting to sit around on the lots and they're having to incentivize them as well. So it's happening, not just with Nissan. It's happening with the Koreans. It's happening even with Toyota. We think of Toyota as this unflappable, always high demand, but their trucks right now, they might be selling, but they're having to incentivize them, which is good. This is good. This is a normal market, all right? Supply and demand, and the demand is low, so you have to move that supply by reducing prices. And here are more concerned about this stair-step program for Nissan and other manufacturers that are reverting to these tactics. Nissan should just price its vehicles to sell rather than shift the risk to the retail network. Nissan doesn't have enough money to reprice the cars and truly incentivize the cars to the level that will create organic demand, said one retailer, who described the new stair-stepping program as the broadest since before the pandemic. The Rogue, for instance, is priced $3,000 to $4,000 higher than customers perceive its value relative to the competition, said the retailer, who asked not to be identified. The Rogue cannot hold a candle to the RAV4. Well, actually, none of they don't have a hybrid, so it can't hold a candle to any of the hybrids from Honda, Toyota, Kia, or Hyundai. All right. Stair-step programs largely died out as inventory across the industry shrank after the pandemic, and the return has concerned critics of the strategy. For $1,000 in every car, bad habits will return, said a dealer, referring to the potential competition among Nissan-owned retailers. The story does not end well. So you're having cannibalization between like the hungry hippos. All right, that's how I think. Think of the Nissan dealers as hungry hippos. There's only so many customers that they can sell to. They're all trying to work hard to make these spiffs. They're all trying to undercut their own cars' pricing to get these spiffs, and it's just not healthy long term and probably not short term. Nissan's pre-pandemic practice of pushing volume bonus programs drove discounting, fostered consumer mistrust and distrust, and diminished resale values and dinged dealer profitability. Vinay Shahani is saying Nissan does not intend to force volume-based programs on retailers year-round. I think he's just doing it to make Nissan look better for Honda, but it's too little too late. And Vinay Shahani conceded that Nissan's pricing and packaging strategies need work. We have inventory imbalances across quite a few models. Some of the trims aren't the ones that are moving the fastest from a wholesale to retail perspective. The longer term fix is to work on the grade walk, improve the content packaging, which will take time. In the meantime, we want to get volume going. The problem is, like, you have to incentivize the volume. They're losing money trying to get volume going, especially the dealers, in theory, right? Because they're having to discount them in hopes of cashing in on Nissan's spiffs. Vinay goes on to say, we're looking at wholesale to retail turn rates by model, trim, package. If it's not moving, we're killing it. Okay. Does that include killing certain models? If you're not moving a certain model, are you going to kill it? I wonder. That is interesting. What models do you think Nissan should scrub down? I think Nissan could absolutely survive on having a Pathfinder, a Frontier for the pickup truck, the Kicks. They don't need the Ultima and Sentra anymore. As much as that kind of hurts me as a sedan guy and a coupe guy, I know there's no coupes of those cars anymore, but like they just don't need them. They don't need them in today's market. So just get rid of the Sentra, get rid of the Ultima. They can't compete. They can't compete against the Korean sedans. They can't compete against the Japanese competition either. Now you might be saying, Kirk, the Pathfinder and Rogue can't compete either. Well, the Pathfinder absolutely can. Pathfinder has a great V6. Hopefully they don't replace it with a VC turbo. That would completely kill the car, like it killed the QX60 for me. The Frontier is fantastic. The Armada is fantastic. Keep the Armada around. The thing is, it's just really expensive, and Nissan customers need more affordable things. The Kicks made my top 10 list last year, I think, in most surprising vehicles. Keep the Kicks around. Get rid of the Sentra. Get rid of the Versa, probably, sadly, and then get rid of the Ultima. And get rid of what else is in there. I know there's like the Z, but the Z is so niche, it doesn't really matter. They don't make money on the Z. They don't probably lose money on the Z either. Shall we look to see what models Nissan should kill? Should we just go to the Nissan website? I think I've got, what the heck? If you go to Nissan.com, we get a weird memorial website. I can't believe Nissan.com is not registered and owned by Nissan. That is wild. The Rogue, the problem with the Rogue is that they're seemingly losing money. It's not nearly as competitive as all the other hybridized options on its competition. And without any e-power on it, it's a hard. Okay, Aria, they could kill that. I guess it's a compliance car though. Murano, guys, we don't need a Murano. I know they just redesigned it, but the Murano is, maybe that's why they're killing it off the QX50 and the QX55, because the Murano is kind of that vehicle, except with the true 9-speed. They don't need the Murano. They need the Rogue to be better. Am I wrong? Do you guys agree with that? I forgot about the Murano. They just redesigned it. Kill off the Ultima, kill off the Sentra, kill off the Versa, kill off the Leaf. Just kill them all. Sucks to say that. Titan's already killed. Keep the Frontier around. Where's the Xterra? Nissan, what are you doing? Where's the Xterra? Rest in peace, GTR. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. Where's the Xterra? They could get rid of the Pathfinder for an Xterra. Maybe then they could keep the Murano around. The Rogue needs hybrids. All their cars need hybrids. I know the Rogue's getting a plug-in hybrid, but is this going to be a Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid? So, it's good. It's good, but it's like, that's going to be expensive. It's a plug-in hybrid. They need a standard hybrid on it. Yikes. Well, I'll see you guys in the comments. I don't have high hopes for Nissan moving forward. Their hybrids aren't coming till 2020. 6, maybe. Their EVs, their next gen EVs outside the Leaf probably aren't coming until 2028, maybe. I know some say 27, but it might be 28. They just need to boil down their lineup to the most crucial cars possible: Kicks, Pathfinder, Frontier, and Rogue. And then they could, instead of an Aria, make an electric Rogue or something, right? Oh, and the Armada. I don't know why the Armada is not on this list. Oh, I had to zoom out. There's the Armada. I love the Armada. Keep the Armada around, but they need an Xterra. They had the Xterra. Kill off the Murano. Kill off the Pathfinder. You're gonna be cooking with a little bit of oil there. Arias, they're losing money in Aria. Anyways, it's just sad. It's really sad. They're in the position they are because of the lack of say they had with the company, probably with Renault being essentially their owner, and they were a slave to Renault. And as ironic as it is, Nissan's like, now that they have a taste of freedom, they don't want to give up any of their freedoms to Honda, or maybe fine, maybe they'll surrender any freedoms to Foxconn. I just don't know. Smash the like button for Nissan. Maybe we can get enough enthusiasm to heal their lineup, to heal their product, to heal the company. Don't think it works like that though. Catch you in the next one. Peace.